Hello, and welcome to AFIKRA's Community Podcast, where we invite community members from AFIKRA's 30 chapters around the world to discuss their curiosities around the cultures and histories of their region. They do this through presentations they've developed and shared at their local AFIKRA cities, and these presentations are done by non-experts on the subject. Just friendly AFIKRA folks that go through our presenter workshops and coaching to develop topics and questions they're interested in learning more about. My name is Yasmin Khalaja, and I'm your host today, tuning in from Ramallah. I'm also joined by my co-host, Maisa Kifio Hussein, who's based in London. Hey, Maisa.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
So today we brought on Jad Moussalli from Montreal, and he talked to us about photography in Aleppo from its very early beginnings during the Ottoman period and then the French Mandate. What'd you think of that conversation, Maisa?
No, it was so interesting. I come from a history of art background. So learning about the history of photography in Aleppo, you really do learn about the actual history of Aleppo and all of its communities and minority communities especially. So it's so interesting. I'm so excited for everyone else to hear this too.
There's a lot of visuals involved too. So if you can look at the screen, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we try to talk you through it. For those of you who are interested in also signing up to present at your local AFIKRA communities, you can visit afikra.com/workshop to begin exploring your own curiosities. For now, let's dive in with Jad Moussalli. Hello, everybody, and warm welcome to you. Jad, we're very excited to have you on. How are you doing today?
Hi, Yasmin and Maisa. I'm very also excited to be your host, and I'm fine. How are you?
Great, thank you.
We're doing great.
So excited to have you here.
Me too. Thank you.
So, Jad, we want to get to know you a little bit at first. So since this is a community podcast, and as you know, we have 30 cities where people get together in these communities every few months, and they present about topics that they're curious about, and you presented about this topic. So let's try to get to know you first. Tell us, what do you do, Jad? So are you an expert? You're obviously not an expert in this presentation. What do you actually do in your daytime?
From Syria, Aleppo, I'm mechanical engineering. I have been in Montreal since 2016. I came here as a refugee with all the Syrian vagues that they were accepted to Canada. And for the moment, I think it's one of my best decisions. As you said, I am not expert in this field, but I have a passion for it, passion for history, tradition. I think maybe when we leave our country and about what happened, the war and all those stuff, it's make us more related to our country, our history, our tradition, our culture.
Yeah, it made you curious to learn more about photography in Aleppo. Was your first question, Jad? And no, I wonder about this industry in Aleppo, or is it that I'm interested in this industry and then you found out, oh, there's actually a lot that's been done in Aleppo related to photography?
Honestly, when I I have this passion, I discovered it during the war in 2012. We were the beginning of the war in Aleppo, so we wouldn't go a lot outside. So I discovered an old box, big box with a lot of old photos for families, old document for Ottoman Empire or French Mandate, different stamp, different thing. And I start to discover the personality on those photos. He's the oldest one going to 1877, asking my parents and my uncle, my family. And also then the photo gives you a lot of information about the tradition, how they, the fashion at the time. Also, I start
that time in history.
Yeah. It's related to history. It's important. And I was also curious to know who is the photographer and then who's the first photographer. So I start to ask my relative about their collection of photo, compare those photo. And then suddenly I have a big collection, and I also have a friend, he's a historian. I show them what I have, I share. He was so interested, and then he created a page on Facebook, Aleppo National Archive. I was also an admin with it still today, and we share a lot of things. And yeah,
back then it started, Jad, with your own personal family collection of photos,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
whatever you had to Beit, and then you started collecting more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really impressive. How come your family had these really old pictures, like from the 1800s? Like
Well-
it's rare to have that old of pictures in families.
I
Yeah, or
know,
was it books? Was it books or was it actual photographs that they had?
No photograph for our
Amazing.
ancestor, or I think also it was a habit to send photo, if especially when they are different country. We have some relative in Manchester, in Cairo, in Ethiopia, Lebanon. So they send by mail photo exchange because they are curious to know each other.
There was an Instagram back then.
Yeah, totally. Or the Facebook, you can say, and some letter within or some mention. Not all the photo, unfortunately, was written. Many photo I'm not knowing the person. Even my parent doesn't know who is. We need the older generation to know, but nobody still alive, unfortunately. But I could kept what I can, and a friend, a relative from Lebanon, it's told me something. It was so affect me. So Jad, be careful about those photos. Try to scan them because I lost everything because the Lebanese war. So when he told me this, it's worse to do what he say, and I start to scan them also.
That's so
Clean
good.
them
So when you
first
moved,
from the dust.
yeah, when you fled the war and you moved from Syria to Montreal, did you take these physical pictures with you, or did you digitize them? And what'd you do?
Yeah, no, I couldn't take, we don't here in Montreal, small spaces. You don't have a lot of spaces. Yeah, no, I scan them. And actually, I think after I'm coming to Montreal, stabilized more, I start to analyze them, read them, see the note, comparing them, asking my parent. Yeah. But before, it was the important thing, reserve them, scan them when I was in Aleppo. And then later on to the future, even if it wasn't me, to someone else, or even I said sometimes if I could share them with institutional or university, could be interested, why not?
To make them more accessible to everybody that's curious.
Yeah.
That's
so
really cool,
important.
Jad.
No, it's such a good thing that you did that, and because it was so easy for you to lose them. So you scanning them and getting them out there, it's a great thing.
Yeah, and recently after
your presentation.
After
tell us, Jad.
After AFIKRA presentation, it came idea in my mind, and I did a page on Facebook. It was Portrait d'Aleppo. So I started to share my collection, and now the people, also the friends, starting sharing their collection on Facebook and on Instagram, because I said the presentation encouraged me, and I told them, instead of being in the old box with the dust, let us share, and we will see after if it could be turned to a book or more serious, or we'll see step by step. So just to tell you that gave me this inspiration after the presentation.
That's cool.
Amazing. Yeah. I think this is a great point to get started. I'm so excited to start seeing all of the things that you've been researching.
Let's dive in. Yes. Tell us about photography in Aleppo.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I chose as a topic the beginning of photography in Aleppo, and I start to talk about the famous 10 first photographer, let's say, in Aleppo. Not sure, as AFIKRA promises, we aren't an expert, so it might have some mistake. I'm not sure about those information, but from the book and what I have collection, we guess that those are the first 10 photographer in Aleppo. So firstly, to the people who doesn't know about Aleppo, it's in the north of Syria. It's surely known to be the economical capital of Syria. Why? Due to her geographical location on the Silk Road. And because this location, it's made her also cosmopolitan city. A lot of community in Aleppo, especially the European. We had a lot of community before 20th century. Then after it was less. And from different, even from around, from Turkey, from Lebanon, from Iraq, Morocco, Egypt, a lot came people here to do exchange and merchandise. Yeah. So before I entered about the photography, I chose to talk about the first or the oldest well-known portrait in Aleppo, as the drawing was before the photography. So here we have the music class of Madame Rozzini. She is the wife of Venice consul of Aleppo. And here we saw her in the middle with her music professor and with her mate, with her local dress. This important.
Who are they? Like, who were they in this point in history?
She is, they aren't important people, but this, because it's the oldest well-known portrait in Aleppo, still known, but unfortunately after the war it was stolen. Now last time they saw it in Istanbul, we don't know what happened. And it was reserved in the same place the picture was drawn, in Poche house. This is the oldest inhabited house in Aleppo. It was the first time inhabited in 1538. And it was also inhabited till 2012.
Wow. So just looking at the screen, and for anyone who can't see the screen as well, Jad, if you just go back to, sorry, there, yeah. So that's Madame Rozzini, and that's a painted portrait. And but then below that there are some photographs. So are those some of the first photos that were taken?
No, not the first photo, but here the mandolin, we saw it in the same house. It's the same here. This mandolin was fabricated in Napoli, and here the lady inherited this house, and she is a descendant of those people. Was explaining about this photo because it was an old video on France TV5. So I took those photos to share them to show you what we can able to see about. And she was explaining about the photo, and from her I took Madame Jenny Poche, her name. Yeah.
And just to be clear, so this house where this portrait was painted, they actually owned the portrait? Like she had the portrait before it was stolen?
Yeah.
Wow.
Before,
okay.
Yeah.
Incredible.
This house, it was as a museum, very famous. And I will talk about this family now later. And they are European and consular, and you will see. They were so important, those family, and they keep what they have traditional from family to family, different family where they inherited this house. But after the war, unfortunately, it was everything stolen.
Okay.
Everything else. Yeah, unfortunately. So here is the first photo of Aleppo. We know it. It was taken in 1844 by the French Joseph Philbert Géraud de Prangui. It's a French Orientalist. It seems that he was photographer. He moved in the Levant, between Aleppo, Beirut, Damascus, and Jerusalem, and started to take the first photo for those cities. So this photo took from Antakya Gate, and we see Aleppo, the effect of the earthquake that happened in 1822. Wow. Still some ruin, it's not every year. The main idea to share this photo to compare, because the first photo took in around the world, it was in 1826 by Joseph Niesfor Niepce in French.
Okay.
So you are talking.
So both were Frenchmen.
Yeah, French. We are talking about 18 years between the first photo in the world and the first photo of Aleppo. It's kind of acceptable. We aren't so far from technology, let's say.
Well, it's the pioneers right at the beginning. But I just wanted to, this is the first ever photo of Aleppo. That's incredible. Yeah. Wow. Looking at this photo, obviously, I mean, it's really obviously very sad that it's a city in ruins after the earthquake. But so just take us through this photo and what we can see. So in the background, you can see the citadel, right?
Yeah, the citadel here.
Yeah.
And here's Umayyad minaret. It's a famous Umayyad minaret. And the photo was taken from what I saw in the source from Bab Antakya Gate. And have a beautiful view on the old city and Aleppo citadel. So my presentation, I divided into two sections. For the photographer during late Ottoman period, we are talking here 1870 till 1920, In the second section, photographer during at the French Mandate, 1920 to till 1950, let's say. So here we will come back to family Pochet that I talk about it. The first photographer in Aleppo, we know him. It's Mr. Albert Pochet. He is the son of Joseph Pochet, an Austrian trader, Bohemian trader, who came to Aleppo about 1825, the daughter of the last Venice consular, Marguerite Sola. And his family has important role in diplomatic affairs. They were represented consular in Aleppo. So Mr. Albert was the consul of Belgium and Netherlands. And one of his brothers has a passion for antiquity and archaeology. And they receive a lot of European people, visitors, archaeological mission. So how he had this passion of photography, when he was young, he was going with Franciscan priest, Jean Clair, his name, and he took him to see near Aleppo, the dead city, to check those beautiful sites, archaeological sites, and study them, taking photo. Yeah, and he started to learn Albert about how to take photo. So we started for him as a hobby, and he decided to buy a camera and started to take photo. And we are talking about 1865. He started his passion in
And
photo.
these are the very early cameras where, you had to stand still for a very long time until...
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah,
everyone looks miserable because they're sitting there for hours waiting.
On the screen here, for those who can't see, on the screen here, Jad.
Yes. Here he's on the right, he's Mr. Albert, and here his family and his sister.
This photo here on the left, this is him and his family, or this is his family. Maybe he's taking the photo, but in the background, is this in Aleppo? Like this is because the background looks like the gate of the citadel, I think, right?
Yeah, the citadel, because as they were living near the citadel or the old city in the Khan, they were living in the Khan Nahasi. So as a roof, they have a beautiful view. So he took this photo. I think those are his sisters. Yeah, okay. And it's him, I think, this one. He's Mr. Albert, yeah. And his photo, this one, it's taken in Rome, not in Syria.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he used to travel a lot. And here, another photo for the European family in Aleppo. An example, it's him with his daughter and his sons, yeah. So many European family here. Sola, Giustiniani, Marco Poli, and Pochet. And all of them, they were working in trading between Europe and Syria. And some of them, they were consular. As Marco Poli, consul of, I think, Italy or Spain. I forgot, honestly, but yeah. Here, an example of his photo that Mr. Albert took them. From what we saw, he wasn't a professional photographer. If we will compare to other photographs around the Levant in Lebanon or Istanbul, the other were more professional because here look from the background. It's not a clear photo. Sometimes they are far, but here example, here one of his daughter during her marriage. And this photo, I like it so much. I think it represents between an old fashioned way and the new fashioned way. After late 18th century, people start to change the amama way, the traditional to put the tarbush. Tarbush, it's from Greek, not something local from the Ottoman, yeah. And here a priest, Catholic priest. Here maybe Sheikh, Muslim Sheikh with his son, not sure, I guess. Here also a photograph of family, portrait of family. Here might be students or people who work for government, let's say Ottoman government. Not sure, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In all of these 6 photographs, you can see like the backgrounds that he put so that it looks clean, but then you can also see what is around this background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jad,
If only it could be cropped.
Jad, did he have a studio? Was this his studio space? Do you know? Or was this just a room he had and he put up that screen just to create a background? Or
No,
because you said he
doesn't.
wasn't really a professional at this point or
Yeah.
anything. So maybe he just did find my living room. Let me just like invite you here and let's take some
Yeah.
photos.
I think in his house, because they have a big house in the old Aleppo. So might be he used it to like his studio. From what I know, and from his granddaughter, no, he doesn't have a studio. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this
Here,
point,
other photo-
Jad, I'm not sure about your research, but it also seems that they were this like a group, like a clique of the, that certain class in society that they stayed together, like the Europeans, or like in the earlier photo, that 13 people.
Yeah. You are right. The European community in Aleppo not always was so interested, or maybe some of them they were, have this connection with the local, but they live together in the sands. East community the French has a specific sands, I think Vilcros Khan, the Italian San L'Arabia, the Belgium and Netherlands in the family of Boche in Khan and Hassinia. Each one has his own safe place, let's say, we can say.
Yeah. And you mentioned the tarbush came from Greece.
Yeah.
Is that the famous tarbush that we all associate with Syria, like in red with the black little stripes?
Yeah.
So that's a Greek thing?
Okay.
That's a Greek thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I had no idea. That's another AFIKRA presentation in itself.
Yeah, really. And then
how the tarbush came to Syria.
Yeah. In the 20s, when the French came, many people, especially in Jordan, more than Syria or in South Syria, start to refuse to put in tarbush because it not represents them. So wanted to put the al-agal and I don't know the name exactly, the Jordanian, what we call it? Hatta. Yeah. So we have Amman.
So that was their way of saying we have our own. Yeah.
Even in Aleppo, I heard once some group of people, they did manifestation and they wanted the Hatta, but it's a city, for them, the Hatta and Agal, it's not represent the city, it's more for the Bedouin. So for the city, it wasn't so
it's not metropolitan and
Yeah. The second photographer here, I would talk about Mr. Krikor Moussalli. He is, we can say, the first Armenian photographer in Aleppo. Started his career in 1880 in Aleppo, and he stayed till his death in 1932. He is coming from Arab Gir in the east of Turkey. He isn't from Aleppo. And so here an example of, I unfortunately don't have a lot of information. I tried to search, but from those two photos from my family collection, unfortunately, I don't know who was the people. Just I have small information about them. They are cousins for my great grandfather. But what I like in this photo, you're in the right. I think she is housemaid. I think, and it was interesting that she was included with them in the photo. So it's kind of gave us a relation between maybe the.
Is she the one dressed in white? Like
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a huge family portrait, and they're all dressed very fancy.
Yeah.
But there's one person that dressed in very very normal, modest white clothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's
I
probably
guess she
domestic
is the housemaid. I guess, but I like that she was with them in the photo. Yeah, and the Mister here is sitting. He has a small paper. Now it's not shown clearly. But he written a will, like a will, and he say, أوصيكم وصية أحب بعضكم بعض. It's so interesting and wow.
Seems like a nice person.
Yeah, and it gave you the
for
idea how they were thinking in that time, and I like it. And he said he would. I think he believed in the importance of photography, so he say, this photo, it will remember me for the next generation. Let's put this small word will. I don't know, but this I guess. Here also photo
And that's
for
what's written at the bottom of the photo, Jad, in Arabic.
yes, عائلة الخواجة فرج الله قص نصر الله حلب 1898. So here another also couple, photo of a couple, Mr. Ilyas Abdini with his wife, maybe during their marriage day or another a simple day. So it gives you really about the dress. I think also the photography signify relation shape and represent sometimes social status for the family, for the people. So, yeah, and here another two photo also for Mr. Krikor. We are talking to schools. Here, School of Saint Joseph in Fan El Adliya used to be, and here the school of Terra Santa for the Franciscanian. It's one of the oldest school, well-known school in 1858. And really school, very important school. People learn a lot of language, Italian, Ottoman, German, French, Big Shoe. Then
And they're older, so it looks like maybe this was like a high school or for an older or graduating class.
It looks like a mixed age, right?
Mixed,
There's some younger kids
more
in
mixed,
there too.
You have in the beginning front some children 10 years, and more we have adolescent. Yeah. So here's a third photographer here, Clément Thévenet. It's a French photographer who lived in Aleppo during late 19th century and 20th century. And here a family for Mr. Clément, Armand Coussa. It's Italian drogman of the Italian consular. Drogman, which means interpret. It's an old word. So each consular has interpret. And those interprets, they have a lot of privilege. They are excluded to pay taxes, and they were, the Ottoman considers them as they are European. So many of people, especially minority, Christian or Jewish, want to take this status and to be drogman. And here
they're
we
locals.
see
they're Syrian. They're from Aleppo.
Yeah, Syrian. Here's a logo of Mr. Clément Thévenet, photograph, كل زمان ومكان, I think. It's written, and vue des points remarquables de Vilayet. Yeah, each one, and some of them, they put the prize they took, or if they going to exposition, they put the exposition they goes. So here, here we are talking now also other families for Mr. Clément Thévenet. You asked me firstly about the dress. Yeah, when we saw those pictures, we don't say that they are Oriental families. More, we think that it's look like European family. I was asking myself why, and I found some answer during reading some books. Yeah, so in Aleppo, as a cosmopolitan city, and Alexandria, Beirut, Jerusalem, opened a lot of European missionary, Catholic missionary who learn languages for those people. So especially more, first it was for Christian and Jewish, let's say, and then later the Muslim entered to those European schools. So they teach a lot of language, Occidental language, and those people was so affected by some European idea, some literature. So they wanted to be like them, especially in the 18th century, 19th century. We had a lot of merchandise came from Europe to Syria. And since at some point, the merchandise from Europe was less expensive than the one in Syria. And this one, it was not a good thing. So people want to buy European stuff more than local.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this stuff included like the dresses and the materials?
Yeah. Especially juh. I don't know the English word. Juh Brittani, the English juh. It was really not expensive, and a lot of people want to buy it.
Is that a type of fabric? What is that?
Yeah.
What is juh?
I think so, right?
Juice. Yeah.
So I assume that because the because the fabrics coming in to Syria from elsewhere in the world were cheaper than the local fabrics. Did this cause any kind of upset locally? Like, was there a reaction? Because obviously then that will affect the local traders.
Yeah. Sometimes it was affect the local trader. And why this was less expensive? Because in Europe, they have the industrial revolution. We didn't have it yet. So they have a lot of quantity. Yes, it affected, especially in Mount Lebanon, and because there they're working a lot on silk, and a lot of people and family work this. And when local people, they say they saw that European merchandise less expensive, it became less productive. But it was changed later on, and they could manage to not be so affected. Here also Sabbagh family, here Mr. Kanaan. Here it's from one of book I saw, we think he is the first engineer in Aleppo. Engineer, when we say that he had a degree from Istanbul, then later he continued his study in French and came back to Aleppo. So he did a lot of project in Syria with his wife. Yeah. But before finishing, just a small thing. When I checked the photograph of Mount Lebanon, in the mount, not Beirut, not the city, I saw the people there keep their traditional way, their fashion. Even when I saw a picture from Diyarbakir in the northeast Syria, now south Turkey, Diyarbakir, Mardin, people when during this time, their fashion was still Oriental and not affected by the European fashion. Might be because...
Do you think... Yeah, why?
They didn't have a lot of European machinery or school. They didn't have a lot of European presence, I think.
They were more secluded, geographically, like distance-wise. Okay.
So Mr. Thévenet had a son. His name Clovis Thévenet. Unfortunately, I don't have for both a lot of information, but he took a lot of photo for near Aleppo, the dead city, and he was famous for the postcard. And I'm not sure if I'm able to see we know his logo. It's a Clo, C and then L-O, Clo, which means Clovis. Yeah, he put this logo on all his photos. Here, card de visite, just to take about them small idea, were so popular and because they were less expensive, smaller size, and it's easy to send it by mail. So it was a way to family between continents to discover them and to see their photo, to keep a copy for them, and also a way to do marriage. We can say it's like Tinder nowadays. Yeah.
Hold on. Let's take a step back and explain what carte de visite is for people that don't see the screen. What is this? What is the carte de visite?
A small photo. It was so popular because they are. I think it's as a hand, maybe 7 centimeters. Even smaller. Yeah. So as they are small, so less expensive and more popular for all people around the world and different social family. Yeah.
Okay.
Was a big family.
And the grandmas would say, "Jayik Yaris, here's the photo. What do you think of this?"
Especially
so these would be sent
they are two different countries, and the big families they want to do exchange or interest to. It should be this family married to this family. Yeah. So they show the girl or the boy about this girl. What do you think? You like? If it's the first impression, if they like it, they do the. He go to her or she goes, and they do.
Amazing. So you're telling me that in Aleppo we had the first manual iteration of Tinder back in the day through these postcards. I love this theory. I think that's amazing.
Not just in Aleppo, in everywhere, if they use those card de visite. Yeah, it's
amazing.
A kind of way. Yeah.
Okay.
So here, next section, photographer during French Mandate, 1920, 1950. Here, Mr. Gulben Djijikian, also from He is from Caesarea in Turkey also. So here we have different style of photo, more developed because the background it's natural. So when I show you more the background, they have some natural, some tree, natural view, or we saw some column, classical architecture, European, Rococo, Baroque. Here it's kind of development in photography. And we saw the children photo were colorized, which mean more expensive. The parent, I think they asked to colorize. They wanted to imagine how it is colorized. It's interesting too. Yeah. Next, we have Derunian brother. They are big three brothers, Hago, Philippe, and Vartan. Also, they aren't from Aleppo, from Turkey, Arab Gir, I think. Yeah. They came late 19th century, sorry. And during 1910, they moved to Sudan, where they practice photography. And then they go to Egypt. They work with a Swiss photographer. Now I forgot the name. It was not with me. But he uses Swiss photographer. He used to be the royal court photographer for the Egyptian royal court. And then they come back to Aleppo in about 1915, and they stay from till 1930. They were so famous, and in each social gathering or important gathering, they were the photographer, the official photographer. And then later, Philippe and his brother Agop, one he moved to Boston, another one moved to Beirut, and Vartan stayed, and he had a lot of famous. He was so important. We will say, I think one of the most important photographer in Aleppo.
This is a group, Jad. Is this a group of photographers that were moving around? What we were talking about just now?
Their brothers, right?
The family that were being photographed.
Yeah.
Their brothers.
Yeah.
The three brothers.
Here's an example of their photo. Here's a Catholic Youth Club, 1922, and here's a visit of Patriarch to Ghazali family, permanent family in Aleppo. Just to get, and here, Italian community in Aleppo, 1929. It's to show you, also gave you more indicate about the presence of European and how they look like. And here we saw the logo of the Derunian family. And here the photo of Armenian peeling pistachio before exporting it to USA, especially the Armenian refugee who came after the massacre that happened. So they were poor, so they work in many different jobs. And here
labor. Yeah. So these brothers, they were of Armenian descent, but living in Aleppo. Okay. I always find it so interesting. I don't know if this came up in your research at all, but so many of the prominent photographers of this period, not just in Syria, but across the region, are of Armenian descent. And so I'm always interested about, is it within the community that they train each other up? Is it just a coincidence? Like, what is that link?
I asked myself and I found some answer. One of Armenian patriarch in Jerusalem has a lot of hobby for photography. So he decided to create a school, just a school for photography. We are talking here between 1860, 1870. Unfortunately, I forgot the name, so I can't give you the name of this patriarch. Yeah. So he found this school of photography, and he started to give a lot of Armenian who entered to this school, and a lot of priests people who want to be priests. Later, they changed their mind. So they took the lessons, they mastered some photography technology, and they come back to their city originally, and they start to be photographers.
Wow.
This is the reason, I found it in a book.
Okay.
For Arab
and probably carried that within their own communities, their own, local ripple effect.
It's so interesting. Everything makes sense now.
Why? Yeah. I was wondering why Armenian. You are right, Maisa, about this question. Yeah. Me too. It was curious to know why. Yeah. So here, Mr. Derunian, here is a studio. Here, the same family. I'm talking about the brother who stay in Aleppo. Here, his studio in Aleppo. We saw him. Yeah, and here also the studio here in Baron Street. So here, example of his photo. Look, so how artistic photo, and this one is colorized. Yeah, and how he masters the light, the secret of shadows, and really the best
Props.
Yeah.
Like this lady looks like she's coming out of a gateway. There's a mirror behind her and a door next to her.
It's very,
pretty
it's
cool.
she's very Vogue. Great photo shoot happening here. Yeah.
Yeah, he is also. He try to show also the environment. He take detail is important for him. Yeah, you know, here is the development. It's another level from what we saw before.
He's a professional.
Yeah. Here a photo for him for Aleppo. This Bedouin guy, I like very much this photo. Really, it's when we saw it as so professional as it's nowadays. You can, And those photo, I don't know if you know them. It's very famous houses in near the village in West Aleppo. Or West and East. The French used to call them les maisons de sucre, because the dome for them so similar to Maringa. You know the Maringa cake?
Meringues.
Yeah. Cylindrical, and dome. So for them, and here's a Bab al-Faraj gate, and and here's a souk. Look,
the photo on the bottom right of the souk. That's definitely a famous photograph, right? I've 100% seen that one before. I'm sure.
Yeah.
The light is shining from the top.
It's beautiful.
Really. Yeah. We are talking 80 years and even more, 90 years. I think he is so talented. Yeah. What's the important legacy for Mr. Vartan? So he saw during his time, a lot of Armenian refugees came to Aleppo. Aleppo received a huge number of Armenian refugees who survived from the genocide that happened in 1915. And so he decided to take photo for the camp of those Armenians in Aleppo. And in those photo was later on escaped and moved from people to people. Then later on were discovered in Beirut. They fled from from Aleppo to Beirut. And in 2015, they did a book about those photos to memorize this Armenian genocide and all the photos by Mr. Vartan. So here's a camp. You will see how they live in the bad condition. Here another photo. Look how the women here with their children. Here is a camp. Yeah. So, and here, this photo is the iconic photo for me. It's in classes. Imagine how they separate the classes by this fabric. And I think represent the Armenian want to give for their children's education, even despite those bad conditions, importance of education to change their life, their future, to give them better future. So inspired this photo. And unfortunately, this reality, it's happened again and again with the Syrian people. So here now, Mr. Mohammed Kamil Hamad. He is known to be the first Muslim photographer. From why I said Muslim for the first Muslim, because from what I say and compare, I saw that the Muslim community wasn't so interested to learn about photography. They were encouraged to take photo, but not encouraged to have people learn photography. I don't know, due to different reasons. And also I noticed that we have many sheikh first, they abandon the photography, taking photo firstly. It's haram, it's forbidden. This is why we don't see a lot of presence of Muslim community in the photography. But later on, when they saw...
an obstacle.
Yeah, really, as a coffee. Firstly, it was abandoned, then they changed. Long time, we are talking 500 years. Then it was okay, acceptable. Why? Because Ottoman Empire Abdul Hamid, and Abdul Majid later, they like a lot to taking photo. So when we saw Al Khalifa, who is he take photo and it's okay, and his photograph was distributed all over the Ottoman Empire, the city, official
Became
of things.
normalized.
Yeah. Okay. So we can say, okay, they can took it photo and stuff. And also one of the important photographer in the city, we will see why. He is from a prominent family. They work in agricultural field to export grain and seeds from Syria to Europe. And first, the family was not encouraged him to took this field, but dissipated his family opinion. He entered and he learned photography in France, then London, and he come back to Syria. So his photo was known between 30s, 40 and beginning of the 50, because later on he moved to France. I think he moved on to France because he didn't see encouragement of his entourage to continue this career, unfortunately. And here a photo, for example, of his photo, lady, he's an oriental dancer. He's a ballet dancer. He's a lady with her dog. Really, wow, I like it. In the 40, this kind of photography, it's more artistical, different from what we saw before. Yeah. And here a couple, look how beautiful photo. Couple of this from the city and
romantic photo shoot.
Yeah. I think maybe Cherkess, not sure, but
this looks like they're ads community. For movies.
Yeah.
For films.
Yeah. Here also, he took a lot of photo for French and British officer and army. We have a lot in Syria. So why I have those photos? Because when after his death, he donated his house to the French, and all this photo he donated to the French. Later on, the French used his house and transferred it to institute, IFPO, Institut Français des Études du Proche-Orient. I forgot the exact name, and they discover his photo and they scan them and they put it on the website, and I was able to see and have some information about his life. I think he did really good instead of leaving it or giving to the family, because sometimes the family will not take care of those important heritage. Yeah. And here we have Radish Shahinian, also succeed of Mr. Vartan Derounian in the same place. After Mr. Vartan left to Beirut, he take his shop, and here we saw Al-Musawwir Derounian Sabiqan.
This is a great photo.
Yeah. Here, Nobar Shahinian, his nephew. Some photo of the wedding ladies. Yeah. In the 50s. Here we are talking in the 50s. Yeah. Another different photographer. And the last one, Studio Ardo. Also, he was famous, and his studio in Baron Street. So important street. A lot of photographer I mentioned was there in this street. He was famous also for the postcard. Postcard of the city in different places. Yeah. So this is was my presentation. So as a conclusion for me, we didn't see any presence for women in photography in Aleppo, unfortunately, as a lot of other profession. I don't know, but sometimes because the photography, in some community had a bad reputation, not all, but in those times it wasn't, because what I heard, the photography will work in a dark room. We don't know what happened. And this lady, he told me about the story. Wow, really? So he told me, yeah, for this reason, people wasn't encouraged to enter this field. Oh my God. Really, the people, how they think is a way. Yeah. And we noticed that the majority of photographers were either European or Christian or Armenian due to some religious reason, and some other reason. I mentioned one about the Armenians. Why they are.
Sorry, I'm wondering also, Jad, With the majority of the first photographers being European or Christian. I mean, obviously Europeans coming in with their photography skills and their material and their cameras and things like that. I wonder if part of it is because they, like when the French came in, they were dealing mainly with the Christian communities, more so than the Muslim communities in a lot of the cities that they went into. So maybe by default, they were, photography just got to them first. I'm sure there were other religious reasons too, but I'm curious if that was part of it.
Yeah, sure. It could be really, I didn't thought about it, but yeah, because and after what I did this presentation, one of the people, he told me, from what I noticed, that the Christian or Armenian were like a link between European and local community. I didn't thought about it, but I said, yeah, good conclusion. We could mention it. Yeah, easily. Yeah. And what you are saying now, it's continuing his, what he said. Yeah, the conclusion. Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah. And I think going to photographer was something important at the time and comparing nowadays. And I ask, does anyone go to photographer lately? What do you remember? What was where the last time? I mean, okay, we know sometimes we go to take a photo for our passport, but do we go to take artistic photo? Do we still this habit? I think we should, because we have the phone now. It's easy to take, sometimes not professional. Sometimes you are sitting with your normal one, but do we go to take professional one? Maybe for LinkedIn. Also, some people. If we didn't have LinkedIn, nobody will go to take professional. I was asking why.
Well, now it might be coming back with Instagram, and there's a lot of professional photography when it comes to like new babies being born or weddings or these things. But like day-to-day life, I don't see.
Or just influencers.
Yeah, this is my day-to-day life, not just wedding, day-to-day life. Yeah, this is the question, if we go or not and why. Yeah.
No.
And the photo, I think, express a social relation, social status, and sometimes continue some historical information that sometimes a book are so difficult to take it from, or sometimes it's just easy photo. It will more relevant than a book. And also it's memorized a moment. And as now we are talking about people and some portrait go back 18 years.
We don't know.
80 years, 100 years ago. Yeah. And because this photo or this moment, it was memorized until now.
It also felt like a history journey going through this entire presentation with you, Jad. Like we learned so much about the different points in history and what was happening in the region, around the region. The Armenians with their background coming in and the cities, how they were being developed. That water well, it's really amazing. Yeah, this was super interesting.
Exactly.
So yeah, tell us about where'd you get all this information from?
So here's a reference. One of my good reference was for Mr. Stephen Shiha, the Nahda after image. He did a lot of research and books, and he gave me a lot of information, I took it. And some reference also about some Armenian books. Yeah. But about the photo, if you are asking me, here is a private collection. As I told you firstly, when I start to ask families, friends, so I received a lot of people who share their photo. And here I'm so thankful to those people who gave me access to their collection. Due to the now Facebook, those links, we are able to connect, because many of them are around Paris, Swiss, Beirut, or some of them of Aleppo, Montreal. It's sometimes so difficult to get those information, but the media now and it's helped us a lot. So I'm so thankful for all of them. And I put all his private collection and all my resource for anyone who wanted later to investigate more, having more information, have curious.
Okay, well, Jad, this was just so much fun. I think personally, me and Maisa, we learned a lot from you, just being able to have this conversation. And I love that this is now shareable with the entire AFIKRA community, not just those people that were the 40 people in Montreal that got to see this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So thank you so much for agreeing to doing this and coming on.
Thank you, Jad. It was so great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm so thankful for you. And especially now you are beginning your podcast. And I think it's my first episode with you. So I encourage you later to continue in this work, and we will be supporting you, listening. Yeah, I'm always curious to see the other. Always we see what's happening in a different city, but we say, what is the topic? I'm curious to know more. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully this is
Also,
the way then. Okay, so we have a few fun questions now that you maybe want to take a pause and think about them and like prepare them. That's fine. But we want to maybe ask you more about Montreal. And I think you have great insight now, knowing that you haven't been there your entire life. So you had to find these things, the places that you like personally through discovery. So I'll give you some categories about fun places or places to go to in Montreal, and you can also add your own. But let's start with maybe bookshops or archival places or libraries. Where do you go to in Montreal?
once I visited the foundation. It's near Maktaba. Once we did a meeting there with AFIKRA in the old Montreal, old building with a lot of good collection, and I like it so much. And also the Islamic Library of McGill. Wow.
Of McGill
They,
University.
yeah, I was surprised. They have big, really just a building for this. And this library, it's on best, one of the best street in the world. It's, I was surprised. I
What
didn't know
makes it the
about
best
this.
street in the world?
Yeah, because last year they have a top article about the best 10 street or not the beautiful street in the world. One of them, it was this street. I forgot the name, honestly, but it's a street on McGill University. It's up down with a lot of beautiful historic building of the university. And then in front of you, you see the Montreal mountain. Wow. Beautiful view. Yeah. If now
We have to go if we go,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Yasmin, I think we need a work trip to to Montreal.
Yeah.
And in this street,
think we
you
should help
have
the
this
chapter.
beautiful library. In this street, you have this beautiful library. It's really lot of Arabic and Persian collection. Everything you
Okay,
can
interesting.
imagine. I was surprised how they preserve this document, and it's a must even for AFIKRA's one day podcast, or I don't know, but later it could be a point of focus, even receiving some guests from this department.
This has been such a great start. Thank you so much, Jad. And it's been so interesting. Like you said about how we're learning about, we're learning about history through photography. Like, I feel like we've actually gotten a history of Aleppo through your presentation, as well as the history of the photographer. So this has been fascinating. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jad. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Have a great one,
Okay.
Jad.
Okay,
Salamat.
salam.